we had a career talk, and the lecturer asked, so how many of you are going to do masters? And I kid you not, I think only 3 people did not raise their hand, and me included. That's when I realized that like, wow, I think I signed up for something that I'm not ready for. Vlogging is really like a mirror where you shine it upon yourself and you see yourself 24/7. Like it is a blessing and a curse, as many things are, but the downside is that you are seeing yourself so often. I don't think it is normal to see yourself so often on a camera or on a video. Question that everyone wants to know, the billion-dollar question, is that Leanne, why didn't you stay in London? And why did you come back to motherland? Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today is going to be my annual Q&A session. If you followed around my previous Q&A session last year, I started it with mukbang, and it was a ramen mukbang because you know I love ramen mukbangs. So this year I thought I would continue the tradition with some ramen again. Over here I have some sesame ramen, an egg, and some bacon inspired by ponyo. And we have 2 of my emotional support stuffed animals with me today, just to give me some emotional support through heavy topics. We have Willow, my jelly cat, Sally, the capybara. Sally used to have a turtle attached to her, but the turtle's with her dad. I think one of the saddest things moving back to Malaysia is that I had to divorce my soft toys. You know, my soft toys were like, no! We had to divide which soft toy will go with which person. Maybe I should put her here. You guys can watch me eat. Okay, let's dig in. Itadakimasu. I love a good sesame ramen. My dad used to make this when I was younger. I mean, he still does now. But this is one of my vivid food memories as a child. I think this ponyo ramen is very similar to Hong Kong style ramen. So, chan tan min. Are you guys the kind of person that slurps the noodles out like this? Or do you lay it neatly in the spoon and then you eat it? So I have my laptop with me, and I've compiled all of your Instagram questions. My previous Q&A, I just answered the questions one by one, and I feel like that took a lot of time and there were a lot of redundant questions. So what I'm gonna do in this Q&A is that I'm going to separate them into categories, and then I'll answer them, because I am actually not very good at multitasking too. So I'm trying to eat the ramen while it's still hot. And in my previous Q&A, my ramen went stone cold while I was answering the questions, so maybe let your girl eat first right now. I'm gonna move both of you out of the way at the side for now. I'm very, very thankful that all of you have so much interest in my life. I received a lot of responses compared to last year or compared to when everything just started out. It's really amazing to feel and see that growth, you know, even within my community. And I really want to thank you guys for all of 2024. Let's start with a recap of 2024. Now, 2024, for me, so many things happened in that year. I feel like I lived 8 lives in that year. It's so much to the point that when I saw people on Instagram posting their recaps or TikTok, it made me feel stressed because I couldn't do a recap because so many things happened in a span of not even like a few months. Like in 1 month, I think I can do 1 recap already. So many things happened for me. It was an extremely transformative year, but I've always sort of just touch and go. So today, we're gonna get into the nitty-gritty details. Maybe let's talk about work first, because I do have a few questions about work. So as most of you guys know, I just graduated, boo-hoo, and I'm back in Malaysia. I didn't really have a moment of rest when I graduated and to get a job, because even before I was graduating, I was actively job hunting. Started my job in October. I feel like that's the very paradoxical bit, because with how difficult job hunting is now, you kind of want yourself to get a job. But then after that, once you get the job, you realize that I actually have to stick to my job and I actually need to put in the work. But for some people who, are still finding for employment, they are like, I wish that I was in your shoes. So one of the top questions that I always get is, what do you do for work? I've said previously in vlogs that I basically work in pharma, and I want to tell you guys what my sort of mindset was when I decided to work in pharma. With my degree, biochemistry, you can either sort of do two things. You can go into research or non-research. I would just broadly categorize them. A lot of people actually want to go into research and they want to study to become research scientists, masters, PhD. And I remember vividly sitting in a lecture hall during my final year. We had a career talk and the lecturer asked, so how many of you are going to do masters? And I kid you not, I think only 3 people did not raise their hand, and me included. And that's when I realized that wow, I think I signed up for something that I'm not ready for. Started my biochem journey purely out of my interest in skincare. And I did STEM, life sciences specifically, because I knew that I wanted to have the STEM knowledge in whatever I wanted to do in the future, because it would be highly likely related to the beauty industry. Perhaps skincare, fragrance, and I'm always someone who advocates for having research. And there's so many kinds of people out there with different dreams, and I just wanted to equip myself properly with the knowledge that I would never be able to get elsewhere in terms of life sciences. You have to really sort of study that in university in order for it to be recognized, in order for you to have the correct information. That is one of the reasons why I chose life sciences as a degree as opposed to humanities, because if many of you know, I'm actually a humanities girly at heart. I love creative stuff, something that I'm naturally inclined towards. So I knew that perhaps next time I always wanted to come out to do my own things in terms of business, entrepreneurship, but I wanted to have that knowledge. So that's why I took biochem. When you think of life sciences, a lot of people want to do research, and me myself, I've considered going down that path as well. Honestly, there are days where I still think if I want to do research, but the thing about research, and I think this relates to career opportunities in Malaysia, is that Malaysia, when it comes to pharma, it's really more about sales and marketing. It's more on the commercial side. If you go to other countries where perhaps there are more pharma opportunities, you'll be able to see the entire pipeline. So not just the commercial side, the research, business operations, everything in the middle. So that's what I mean by, I feel that the life science market in Malaysia specifically, or maybe even Southeast Asia, is not as developed as opposed to, say, Europe and US. But that really depends on where the company is headquartered in as well. The department that I'm in, I'm basically in marketing in a pharma company, basically are responsible for bringing the drugs into Malaysia and selling the drugs. So that has a lot of sales and marketing initiative. And to be honest, I don't really know if that's something that I would like to do. But the whole rationale why I got into pharma is because during my second year, I did a life science strategy consulting internship in London where we would advise healthcare firms. But I think, however, with consulting being very corporate, I didn't want to immediately tie myself down to something so corporate, I guess. And I also wanted to see how pharma is internally as well as externally, because consulting, I would say, is more for external, so you're advising the healthcare companies, but I wanted to know how it was like working inside. So now, having worked outside and inside, I will have to make my decision. I honestly have not much idea what I want to do, but I see myself probably 3 to 5 years down the line. I hope to do my own things, with content creation and perhaps even run my own business. But before I do that, I want to equip myself with the skills. So I want to make sure that I go out to big organizations and companies and see how they do stuff. And I feel that me as a young person, I can absorb a lot of stuff. I can really learn and be like a sponge. So that is one of the rationales that I entered a pharma company. I know there are some of my viewers that take biochemistry as well, and they worry about their future path. It depends what you want in the future. So if you're the kind of person who wants to do research in life sciences, you love that life, I think that Malaysia may not be the best place for you. There are research-based jobs available in Malaysia, so it's kind of global clinical trial monitoring, where you take the data and you sort of adapt it to Malaysia and see how it works well for locals. So it's more of that kind of stuff rather than innovation. If you are looking to do things outside of life sciences, or perhaps even consulting, doing your own own business, or even working in pharma in general, because in pharma, as I mentioned, it's more of sales and marketing, and that may be something that interests you as well. I think a lot of people forget that pharma itself is a business, so there are many different divisions within pharma itself. So I would encourage you to talk to someone who works in pharma, have specific questions ready so that you can ask them and they can guide you. I understand that it's very difficult when you feel like you don't know anything, but that's why my tips is ask questions, like just keep asking questions. The more you ask questions, the more you are able to get a sense of what is happening, and that is also how I learned as well. Perhaps that is also one of my strengths, is that I'm generally a curious person. Some people ask what company I'm working at too, and I'm not very comfortable disclosing that because I am a fresh graduate, so does like content creation on the side, so I don't want to breach the company policy and the trust that my manager has with me currently. I wish I had someone to give me this sort of pharma insight when I was in uni, because I had no idea what anything was. The topic of work, I'm going to link it to perhaps the most asked question, the question that everyone wants to know, the billion-dollar question, is that, Leanne, why didn't you stay in London? And why did you come back to motherland? Generally, the questions are coming from people who I think themselves are studying in the UK or studying overseas, and they're deciding whether or not to come back to Malaysia. If I'm being honest with you guys, I was not very comfortable talking about this on camera, especially if you watch the videos when I was in London and I was moving back to Malaysia. I was quite vague about it, but I was honest. There has never been a day in London where this question did not pass my mind. If you leave this video thinking that I really agree with her, I am going to make my decision, or I don't agree with her and I'm going to make a decision, at least this video gave you some information in terms of what your next step is going to be. I'm just going to lay down the facts, and then you can decide yourself if it is worth your time staying in the UK or not. Long story short, in order to decide whether you want to stay overseas or in the UK rather than Malaysia, you have to think about a few things. The first thing is that you have to take this whole, if I'm earning pounds, I will save a lot of money and I'll earn a lot of money. You gotta throw it out the window, because you have to come down to reality, babes, and you have to know that London is either for the rich or for the corporate. I remember someone saying London is very similar to New York City. It's very fun and it's very glamorized because of what we see on the internet, but you also have to know that places like New York and London is fun to live in if you have a lot of money. I mean, if you want the kind of life that you see on content creators or in celebrities, you need a lot of money because everything is very, very expensive. If you earn pounds and you spend pounds, you're not really saving much. So you have to think about the quality of life that you're looking for. One thing that's probably because I'm also Asian groceries are very much more expensive when it comes to local groceries. So my standard of living is so expensive than if I were to come back to Malaysia. And that is definitely one of the reasons why I came back. I always sort of saw myself in Southeast Asia, but then again, that does not mean that I don't like London. On the contrary, I love London a lot, and it will always be my second home. In fact, I want to go back really soon. Next thing that you need to think about is your job opportunity and your career trajectory. Is working overseas beneficial for my career trajectory? Living abroad, it is an amazing experience, but I think it's dangerous when people romanticize it too much. But this is why my emphasis is that you choose your own battles and you evaluate for yourself whether you think it is suitable for you. Because if your career path is beneficial by having a few years working abroad, you should definitely take the chance to work in the UK. For some people, it is very beneficial for them, but for some people, it may not be. So you have to make the call yourself. Obviously, another one is like, where do you see yourself in the future? Do you imagine yourself having a partner, being able to settle down in London, or do you want somewhere else? You know, what are the logistics of everything? And job hunting in London is not easy, or in the UK for that matter. The graduate visa sounds appealing as well because it is 2 years and you're able to find a job. But then when you realize that you have to pay rent and the taxes, even though you may not have a job and you're still actively finding for a job, then that doesn't sound as alluring anymore. When I was in London, I was surrounded by two groups of people. Actually three. The people who think that they want to come back, people who are very certain that they want to continue to stay in London for work, and the people that are sort of in the middle. And I would say that I'm in the middle. And I fluctuate between the other two extreme ends. Malaysians specifically, one of the big reasons why a lot of people want to stay in London is because of the pounds. They said they want to earn a lot of money. Most of the people that I know who wants to stay in London, they probably do not want to stay there for the rest of their life. I don't think they think about migrating there. But the sort of mindset is that I want to earn a lot of money so when I come back, I don't have to start from square one. I want you to know that even if you decide to come back to Malaysia, that is not the end. I feel like it's more about the purpose, because a lot of people are very easily affected by their peers, and I don't think it is wrong, but I just think that we should give things more thought before we immediately jump into it. The thing about how earning pounds sounds very attractive. It sounds attractive because of our currency difference, with the pounds being such a valuable currency, because everything you do, it's times 6. UK is one of the countries with the highest taxes. I remember that basically in UK there's something called council tax. So as students, you don't have to pay a council tax, but on the day that my boyfriend graduated, the next day the council tax letter came. That is one of the examples of taxes. You also have income tax. Fresh graduate salary in the UK, £2.5 to £3.5. It can vary according to industry and depending on the job you do, but that's the baseline. So if you minus off all these taxes, and you also need to pay rent, which is so expensive in London, I kid you not, almost more than half of your salary is gone. I love London. I really love London, but I don't think I would want to work there. I want to have fun there because it's so close to Europe and you can travel. So I think that sums up the very important question on whether I decided to stay in London or Malaysia. Some specific questions said that, have I considered working in the UK? Yes, I have. Somebody asked me how long does it take to secure a pharmaceutical job in Malaysia, and honey, I can't give you a timeline. Okay, but I can say that the average job hunting, average, but it's not rocket science, average is probably 6 months to a year to get a proper full-time job. How was it like studying UCL? It is my dream university. I actually applied to Oxford and Imperial before this, and I think, thank God, I went to UCL instead, because my life would have been so different. I'm honestly very grateful that I was able to study in a place like London, like one of the super cities of the world, because you're not just studying, you're also having a cultural exchange, having an immersive experience. Not to say you can't have an immersive experience somewhere else, but you'll probably have more of an academic experience than anything else. The next questions I have are on the topics of studies, and thank God you guys asked me now, because I feel that if you ask me later down on the road, I'll probably forget everything, which is so sad, because I actually really like studying. As someone who has gone through the uni experience, how did you know you were on the right track? When it comes to uni, it's probably one of the most straightforward things is to see how you're performing in class and your assessments. But more importantly, I think it depends how you feel after you walk out of each lecture. And obviously, sometimes when you go and sit the exam, things happen, external things happen. Maybe the exam paper is terrible, horrible examiner who was not in a good mood. But I think how you know you're in the right track is to see if you actually sort of can retain the information and if you're able to answer the questions well. And I don't mean that in a sense of like you getting everything correct, but I think you can feel when you really understand a material. For me personally, it sort of works in my favor because I'm the kind of person that I need to understand the material before I can memorize it. And for some people, they don't have to understand, probably because of our Asian schooling system, just memorize all the way and bam, you can get good results. Key indicator if you're doing well is if you really understand the material. And if you understand the material, no matter how the questions sort of change, you can still sort of get the gist of what the question is asking. The biggest study tip I can give you guys is pattern recognition. So a lot of times we get overwhelmed with material because there's just way too many things for us to study, like too many articles, too many lecture slides. You need a sort of guideline, and there always is going to be a form of guideline, be it in the syllabus or past year papers. In UCL, they're okay with past year papers. They did release a past year papers, but there is no exam scheme. But even with the past year papers, I did the most I could with them. Me and my friend did this thing called like pattern analysis, where we would take each year's question and we will categorize them into topics, you know, where it came from, which chapter. And when you do that for I think maybe 5 years worth of questions, you are definitely able to spot a pattern, certain subtopics within the topic that is more examinable because they are lazy too, like they don't want to do the whole exam scheme again. Keywords, you're able to spot the differences even if it's sort of disguised in another question. You can see through the pattern and what's happening every year. I think you're most likely good to go because you're able to prepare for those sort of questions and not waste your time studying the whole 120 slides, for example. Obviously, there are times where the exam questions break the pattern, and that is just very unfortunate. But we prep the best we can. But this, for me, has worked around 80% of the time or 85%. So take my tip, go analyze the past year questions and study for it. What co-curriculums did you do in Sunway for UCL? And you're going to be shocked to hear that I did a whopping 0 core curriculum in Sunway. So the nature of UK's education system, they're very academic based. They don't really care about your core curriculums. But if you apply to places like the US, they do take into account your core curriculums. So I did 0. The reasons why I got into UCL is probably because of my personal statement. Because my forecast results was, it's not full A star. I know a lot of people have full A star for their forecast results. Mine was 2 A stars and 2 A's, but I think my personal statement came in clutch. Someone also asked if I see myself doing a master's or a PhD anytime soon, and let me tell you guys, I love studying and I would love to do a master's someday. But as of right now, I think I'll work first and then I'll probably want to fund my own master's if I can, because my parents, I have 4 siblings and they have 1 down, they have 3 left. I don't want to become any more of a burden than I am to them. So if I were to do a master's and PhD, why not? I would love to, but I'll probably have to fund my own master's. My vlogging setup is very simple. I have a Sony ZV-1 that I'm currently talking into. I use my iPhone to film when I'm outside because I'm not very comfortable filming using my camera when I'm outside. Sometimes I do, no, sometimes I do. I'm much more comfortable now. But it depends on the situation. I always have my phone on me, so that is more for like when I'm outside. I have my MacBook Air to edit, and I edit using Final Cut Pro. In terms of equipment, I have that fluffy muffin thing that I'm staring at, but I'm so lazy to grab. A fluffy muffin thing. Oh, you know what, let me just grab it. I have this fluffy mic that is for my regular content, but when I want crisp audio quality, I have my Lens Go mic. I started my channel with just my iPhone and the camera. I didn't even have all these equipment, and I slowly acquired them as I go. Sort of after I hit certain milestones or I feel like I'm doing well, then I reward myself with, you know, different gadgets. But if you're starting out, you know, don't worry, you can really start with iPhone, and that is something that, you know, a lot of people say and then you're like, are you sure? Trust me, it is okay. It's more about the effort that you put in when you produce your first few videos, because it will inevitably suck. Like, it will not be perfect, and it is okay. I cringe at my first video. And now you're gonna watch my first video because I said it. When I first started my YouTube channel, did I feel scared or insecure? When I was younger, I was braver, so I didn't really care. I didn't really care much. 2023 is when I started taking content creation more seriously. I still am a bit insecure because being in the content creation space, you see these people have amazing apartments, they have their life together. It's literally the creme de la creme of life is on YouTube. Vlogging is really like a mirror where you shine it upon yourself and you see yourself 24/7. Like, it is a blessing and a curse, as many things are. One of the good sides is that you're able to reflect on the week. I take it as like a weekly reflection when I edit my vlogs to see what happened in the week. I'm very grateful that I have my memories close to me. But the downside is that you are seeing yourself so often. I don't think it is normal to see yourself so often on a camera or on a video. Like, we're not meant to have this close of an access to our memories. When you constantly study yourself or edit yourself, you're bound to sort of feel a bit insecure. I have low self-esteem. My self-esteem is not really in terms of my outwardly appearance, but more of what's inside. Because, for example, if I edit my vlogs, if I was having a bad week, it transports me back to that mindset that I had when I had a bad week. If I had a good week, I would be happy, but if I'm currently editing the video when I'm not feeling myself, my edits will not reflect how I felt in that week. When it comes to YouTube and content creation, views and engagement are inevitably important. but especially in such a competitive space, you can always buy followers and likes and engagement or pay people to follow you, but I've always wanted to build my community from scratch organically. One day there'll be so many of you that I can't even count. This is the way that I chose it because I want to deliver quality content for you guys and comfort content that is authentic and genuine, especially with the rise of aspirational content creators. Not gonna lie, every time I post a YouTube video, I do get a mini heart attack because I don't know how it will do and how it will be, but I am slowly letting go of that, and I feel that that makes me a much happier person because no matter how many times I check it, it's still gonna be there. It doesn't matter, like me checking it does not affect how many people's gonna watch it, right? It's not that if I check on it more often, more people are gonna watch it. I mean, if you enjoy my content, you can feel free to like and share and subscribe. But other than that, I just want this to be a safe space. Right, Willow? Right, Willow? Yeah. You can't always be looking for it to the end destination, because on the day that I reach 10,000 subscribers or 100,000 or even 1,000,000, that will not change how I feel about myself or how I feel about my channel. If I feel that I'm a fraud, then I will feel this need to keep up, and I'll still be under this immense pressure. I enjoy producing content. I love that after work I'm able to do this as my creative outlet, and I want to enjoy that more in 2025 and not so much looking forward to the end destination, because that is just more of like a byproduct. If it happens, it happens, but if it doesn't, I'm happy either way. Having a full-time job and balancing content creation, I do get questions of people saying like, oh, do you want to do content creation full-time, or do you want to, do a full-time job? Last time, I would say that I really wanted to take content creation full-time. Now, not to say that I don't want to, but I really want to explore who I am beyond content creation, because content creation is more of a lens to my life. And I don't think that I want to make content creation my whole personality right now. Like, I want to explore other stuff other than content creation, but it will always be there. I want it to sort of be like a background, like a background noise situation, a lens into my life. Because if I make that my sole purpose, it is quite dangerous. From what I've seen on the internet, with all the influencers, no. Someone asked me if I have any advice to start vlogging. If you're shy, start with faceless vlogs first. That's what I did in the beginning. I didn't show my face and I was not very comfortable talking to the camera. And only in recent videos, if you guys notice, I started to get more talkative and confident. And that took me 2 years and constant anxiety and telling myself that it's okay. Whatever aspects you're not comfortable with content creation, you are not obligated to do, but you just need to start, because if you don't start, your ideas will be living in your head instead of in real life. I also have some beauty questions that you guys asked us. Maybe I'll have Sally now. What is my favorite perfume? Currently, my favorite perfume is Diptyque Le Paupière, but I go through phases, and I made an IG reel about my favorite perfumes. If you're looking for something a bit different, but it smells like paper, your skin but better, go for Diptyque Le Paupière. Another one of my most used ones is Chanel Chance, the pink purple one, and it smells like you just got out of the shower. Extremely fresh, amazing. And yeah, those are my two most worn perfumes now, but it rotates, depends on what I'm feeling on the week. My skin and hair routine, honestly, for my skin routine, I just use whatever skincare PR I get gifted with, but I use Korean skincare, and I do have a formula. So usually I spray my face with the mist, then I follow up with a toner and hyaluronic acid, and that is my base. And then I change my active ingredients depending on the week. So I'll either do retinol VT Riedel shot with the PDRN essence, salicylic acid, and different kinds of serums. Then after that, I will layer on moisturizer and eye cream. And for the morning, it's the base and sunscreen, or vitamin C and then sunscreen if I'm feeling extra. My hair, I recently dyed it back to black because I am a scaredy cat is what I am. I'm scared of different hair colors. For my hair routine, I just use shampoo and conditioner, and then I use heat protectant and hair oil. Can you recommend some stores where you usually buy your clothes? And Also for Chinese New Year. For Chinese New Year, go check out Bash. I modeled some cheongsams for them, but they do have very reasonably priced cheongsams, most of them under 100 ringgit, and I love their story. I love their business story. It started off as two best friends and they worked so hard, and now they finally have their own clothing store and clothing line. I think it's amazing to support local businesses, so go ahead and check Bash out if you need some last minute Chinese New Year shopping, but I think it's probably already Chinese New Year when this video comes out. I basically started shopping on Taobao and Uniqlo, and I feel that I'm slowly getting back my sense of style. I have never been this happy with my dressing in a very long time, so if you're in Southeast Asia, you should definitely check out Taobao. But you have to check the reviews because sometimes it's a hit or miss too. I'm quite basic when it comes to shopping. I don't really do thrifting, would love to. It's just that I do not have the knowledge. It's too secluded of a sector for me to enter. If anyone wants to bring me thrifting, please bring me, please. I feel that when I was in London, I was very independent and responsible, and when I look back to my own vlogs, I really question myself, like, how was I able to handle everything? But I think that teaches us and teaches me that you are much more resilient than you think you are, and you're capable of so much. Even though now I'm back, I'm staying with my parents, I'm working in pharma, I really don't think it's the end. I really think it's just the beginning of a new chapter. When I grow older and I'm able to afford my own place and everything, that is something that I'm very, very excited for, to have my own place. I plan to do traveling this year in Southeast Asia. Just a lot of things to look forward to. You know how ageism is, when I felt so old when I graduated and when I first started my job, because of how the pace of life is different. In uni, it's so rigorous, and when you go to work, things are not as glamorous as it was anymore, and I did have a tough time adjusting. I'm someone that I'm happy, but I think I do have a bit of darkness, a little bit of darkness inside of me. I can't even take myself seriously. The annoying thing is that we're all so young, and I'm sure you guys watching too, like, we're all so young, and don't let society tell you what you can or you cannot do. Even though we're so young, we feel this immense pressure. I totally understand. It's very important to have a support comfort creator such as me who you feel like you can relate to. I've had a lot of people reach out to me, they love my videos, and I just want to say that I am so grateful for all of you. You do not know how much a comment or when you go out of your way to tell me stuff like that, it makes me feel, and Sally, feel very, very, very happy. I think what I want to leave in 2024 is my negativity, because I am someone who can really beat myself up if I allow myself to. I am really a very harsh critic when it comes to myself. It's also because of my perfectionist tendencies and how I like to have control of stuff. I was having a conversation with my friend during dinner, basically, confiding in her, telling her how lost I was in terms of my job, like, I don't know what I want to do in the future, and all these different problems, personal problems I had. And she told me, like, Lian, you know that you are someone who is capable, that you, no matter what happens, trust yourself, you're able to navigate through it. It's a phrase in Chinese like, I'm someone who 不会打没有把握的仗. The literal translation means I will not fight in a war where I am not confident or I'm not confident in winning. But at the same time, you can never keep fighting in a war that you know that you will only win, because that's just not how life works. It's like you are going to fight plenty of wars that you may not know whether you win or not, and that is kind of what's happening now, being thrown into the big adult world, which I'm still trying to cope. A lot of expectations, I guess like family expectations. And with that, I end today's Q&A session. It was very nice to catch up with you guys. I think I've been talking in the basement for like 2 hours already. I just want you guys to know that I really value each and every one of you to greater heights and to greater growth in 2025. I hope to see a lot more of you guys here. And if this is your first video of me, please stick around because there'll be a lot more stuff happening in 2025. I hope that I will continue to be your comfort creator. Sally and Willow are going to say bye-bye to you guys. Bye! See you guys in the next video. Thanks for tuning in. Bye! Take care, my lovelies. See you next time.